It should come as no surprise to my friends and viewers that trading card games have always had a very special place in my heart. In this series, both Raikourider and myself will be opening 24 packs or one box of a core Yu-Gi-Oh set. Every week we will add an additional core set to our collections, moving in chronological order. We will use these cards to create a deck and then face off against one another in a best 2 out of 3 match, with the winner receiving 2 prizes to upgrade their deck, while the loser receives 1. These prizes can range from wildcards, to sealed product, to starter decks, and more. Every card that has been released will be available to us at least once. However, we cannot rest on our laurels. Between the ever-evolving nature of the Forbidden and Limited list, the cards that we ourselves choose to banish into the Shadow Realm, and even the way the very rules of the game will change, will keep our decks and our duels fresh. This is yet another Yu-Gi-Oh! Progression series. Well, another week, another win. And honestly, I have a feeling Rai is going to really try his hardest to break that losing streak of his. But we're on to the next episode, and before we begin with it, we're actually going to discuss the Forbidden and Limited list. Specifically, it's still a limited list, and there's only a few changes here, so we're going to get to it quickly. I figure this is easier to mention it right away as opposed to waiting until after we talk about the pack. So, for the set here, it's actually different in that Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning, Chaos Emperor Dragon Envoy at the end both become limited, and Manticore of Darkness goes down to 2 copies. Effectively, the only thing this changes for us is I don't have a reason to really try to get a second Chaos Emperor Dragon anymore. Which is all well and good because realistically, well, for one, one's already good enough, especially given the fact that we can't really search it, so And second, the fact that Rai is aware of it means that it's probably going to hit the ban hammer pretty soon anyway. So, with that being the case, let's go on and move to the pack and discuss the set. So, Ancient Sanctuary was released in June of 2004, and compared to Invasion of Chaos, this set is not as great. However, it does introduce a few interesting cards. Specifically, it introduces some low-level normal monsters and some basic support for normal monsters. So that's actually a fun little deck concept on its own. And this also introduces some of the agents, which are a series of fairy-type monsters that are based on that are named on different planets. So the main one we're going to want to see is the Agent of Creation Venus, and we will discuss that in a short moment. So we're going to scroll through the short prints real quick, as well as the rest of the commons. Right from the jump, there aren't a whole lot here that are going to be noticeable. Night Assailant is actually a good one to pay attention to because it acts as a man-eater bug, and it also has the effect that if it's discarded from your hand, then you get to take a flip effect monster in the graveyard except for this card and add it back to your hand. So, the reason this card is limited is because with multiple copies, you could actually loop these things infinitely. So, it's gonna get limited kind of soon-ish, but this will actually be a fun little thing to have for later, especially given the fact that we also have things like Graceful Charity still. So that'll be kind of nice. Level Limit Area B is another good card, and one I fully expect Rai to utilize. It changes all level 4 and higher monsters that are face up to defense mode, and if you switch them back to attack mode either manually or through a card effect, this will force them back in defense. It's a very strong stun card. Scrolling down here, we're going to go ahead and talk about the super short print, which is Moki Moki. Basically, it's kind of meh at the moment, it's kind of weak, but there is a couple of cards later on that'll help it out. If we can build that deck, it'll be fun. And looking into the commons, there's a few notable ones here. Mystical Shineball is actually a big one that plays a part later in the Xyz era. Vampire Lady is basically Vampire Lord without the tribute summon, but also without the recursion. So it's definitely a bit worse, but its base effect is still the same, so it's pretty decent. Let's see. Monster Gate is kind of interesting for turbo decks because it lets you tribute a monster and then mill cards until you hit a monster to summon, which is kind of interesting. Scrolling down here, Backfire is actually kind of neat if we want to build the fire deck, which Solar Flare Dragon does the same thing in that regard. Wall of Revealing Light is probably one of the best common cards we're going to see here. You could pay multiples of 1,000 life points, and as long as it's face up, your opponent can't attack with monsters whose attack power is equal to or less than the amount of life points you paid. It is weak to removal, I will admit that. However, if Rai cannot clear it out, this can actually stop him for quite a while. Now, granted, the same also applies to us. If we don't pull our removal, he can use that to lock us out for a while. And scrolling through the rest of these, honestly, there aren't a whole lot left that's kind of useful to, or at least not anything that doesn't require specific setup. There's quite a few cards here that work with the normal monsters, and if we end up building that deck, we'll talk about it then. So scrolling up into the rares, we have quite a few that are actually kind of important for us. The Agent of Creation Venus is the one I was talking about earlier. You could pay 500 life points to special summon a Mystical Shine Ball from your hand or deck. So if you summon out a Venus, you could actually pay 1,500 life points, get 3 level 2s on the field, and that's actually pretty good for the Xyz era and Link era. Unfortunately for right now, it's not very useful, but that'll be something to keep in mind for later on. Draining Shield's a good one. It lets you negate an attack and gain life points equal to that attacker's attack power, which is pretty good. And here's one I really am looking forward to seeing. King of the Swamp. The reason I'm interested in this card is because I still have, mind you, I still have 2 polymerization. This card can not only be used as a fusion material substitute, but you could even discard it to add a polymerization from your deck to your hand. So if we could hit a couple of these, that'll be very nice for us if we want to go back to a fusion deck. And in fact, there are a few sets later on that are going to be fusion focused. So if we can get a few key cards there, that'll really help us out. Likewise, Special Hurricane's another good one. You could discard a card from your hand and destroy all monsters on the field that were special summoned. Right now, there aren't a whole lot of monsters that will be special summoned, but it is still a pretty good card nonetheless. So scrolling down here, we're going to go look at the super rares, and really there's only 2 that are actually noticeable. The first notable one is the Sanctuary in the Sky, which generally is actually kind of bad. All it does is mean that if you have a fairy monster battle, then you take no battle damage from a fight involving that monster. Now, generally this card is crap overall. However, there are a number of monsters right now, notably the agents, that require the Sanctuary in the Sky to have their effects go off. So if you want to build that deck, you will need at least 1 copy of this. And the other notable one is our first Monarch monster, Zaborg the Thunder Monarch. This one originally was considered one of the worst of the 4. However, over time, players realized that this is actually one of the better ones, because you could tribute summon it and destroy a monster on the field. Now, unfortunately, it does have the drawback that if it is the only monster on the field when it's summoned, then it has to pop itself. But even still, the fact that you could tribute summon it, pop an opponent's monster, and then get an attack off right away is pretty nice. So if we could hit one of them, that'll be kind of nice. And then scrolling up here into the ultra rares, again, not very many that are like significantly good for us. Burst Stream of Destruction is actually one that if we want to give it a try, can actually be pretty funny. Because if we control a Blue Eyes White Dragon, we could use this to destroy all monsters the opponent controls, at the cost of the Blue Eyes not attacking that turn. Which can be interesting. And mind you, we have a Blue Eyes. We have not used Blue Eyes as our deck master yet. If we pull 1 or 2 of this, we can actually do that for some fun. And the other notable one is Enemy Controller. And this is a good card because it allows you to either basically switch the battle position of an opponent's monster, or you could tribute a monster and then take control of an opponent's monster until the end phase. So this gives us an ability to get a monster, either take away Rai's monster from attacking us, or alternatively, we could even find a way to 1-for-1 his monster, which can be kind of nice. Unfortunately, that's pretty much it in terms of the ultra rares that are notable. There is one for Dark Magic Attack here, which Rai might want to pay attention to. If you control a Dark Magician, you can destroy all spell and traps your opponent controls. Now, that being said, he does have Harpy's Feather Duster, which means that he probably won't focus on this at all, but this is something to pay attention to. And honestly, if he pulls this, and we decide to ban Harpy's Feather Duster later on, this might be something he looks back into. And then finally, scrolling up into the 2 secret rares, we actually have 2 really interesting ones. The first one is Mazura Deville. This one is basically worthless to us. It can't be normal summon or set. It can only be special summoned by tributing a Warrior of Zera while Pandemonium is on the field. And when it's summoned that way, if Pandemonium is on our side, then the opponent has to discard 3 random cards from their hand. Which is, interesting on its own. And Warrior Zera is a common, but at the same time, I feel like this requires a fair amount of setup, especially given the fact that this has to be from your hand whenever it's special summoned, so you can't even pull it from the deck. And on top of that, it's really hard to search it out because you can't use Sandgen for it, you can't use Witch for it, and there's nothing that really acts as a toolbox card for it. The other one here is actually kind of interesting, the End of Anubis. If it's face up on the field, then all spell, trap, and monster effects that target a card in the graveyard or activate in the graveyard are negated. So basically, it's kind of like a Necro Valley on a butt. Or more accurately, on a body, because this thing actually has no butt at all. It has 0 defense points. Which, for a level 6 tribute, 2500 is not bad, but definitely could be better. But with that being said, we're about to go into the pack opening and see what we can hit. Alright, so 24 packs of Ancient Sanctuary. Honestly, I don't have very high hopes for this set, but we'll see what we can hit. First pack. And really not too much that's amazing. Vampire Lady's kind of interesting, so that might be something. What is Grave Protector? Any monster destroyed by battle is shuffled into the deck instead of going to the graveyard. Oh. That actually might be something kind of interesting. Might have to keep that in mind, actually. Okay, so third pack in, we actually see a Solar Flare Dragon, which is kind of a good card. While it's face up on the field, at the end of your turn, you could deal 500 damage to your opponent's life points, and if you control another Pyro monster, then this card can't be attacked. So that means that if you get 2 of these on the field, your opponent can't hit either of them, and you could deal 1,000 damage each turn, which is pretty good for burn and stun, so something else we'll have to definitely keep in mind against Rai. Alright, so second Solar Flare Dragon and a Monster Gate. That's kind of nice. Admittedly, we don't have a whole lot of purpose for Monster Gate, but hey, if we pull some stuff later on that can work with it, then it's nice. So let's see what pack number 5's got, and ooh, this is a nice pack. So we've got an Agent of Creation Venus, we've got a Level Limit Area B, and we've got a Moki Moki. And I know, Moki Moki is not worth it right now. But trust me, if we can pull the stuff we need in the next couple packs, this is going to be some bullshit. Okay, so we have our second Agent of Creation Venus, our second Moki Moki, and a Warrior of Zera, so that's kind of nice. The good thing about Warrior of Zera is that, just in general, it's a decent warrior monster, so that's not bad. Still no Mystical Shine Ball, though, so I'm a little concerned on that one. But, we're only 8 packs in, so, it's not terrible. Ooh, and, okay, so there's our third Solar Flare Dragon, and another Level Limit Area B, so that's actually a pretty good pickup on that as well. And Triangle Power. This is actually a fun little rare that has to do with these low-level normal monsters. you take all level 1 normal monsters that aren't tokens on your side of the field and increase the original attack and defense of them by 2,000 until the end of the turn. Then, during the end phase, you destroy all the ones that are on your field. It's definitely a bit of a risk and reward, but it's a good play nonetheless. And if we could play this and get a finishing move, then it's worth it. Well, there's our third L lab, which is kind of nice. And another Grave Protector, so that's kind of interesting. Not gonna lie though, the fact that we're more than halfway through now and I have yet to see a single holo does concern me a little bit. Okay, I swear to God, the monkey's paw is just flipping me off at this point. I immediately get a secret rare after mentioning how I haven't seen a holo yet. I mean, granted, the end of Anubis isn't horrible, but I honestly would have preferred a little bit something else, like, I don't know, enemy controller, or hell, I don't even know at this point. I guess a Zaborg would probably be the best thing for me at this point, but oh well. Well, we got what we need on. At least we got an A holo, so that box isn't completely trash to us. Ooh, okay, so it's second Draining Shield, which is nice, and our third Moki Moki. So that means you guys don't have to hear anything about this card from me for a little bit now. So, yeah, okay, you know what? This pack's actually not too bad. Holy shit on a stick. Okay, so, enemy controller. Damn. Evidently, I really needed to just say, hey, where the hell's my holos for something to actually come up. Unfortunately, that's kind of the only good thing out of this pack, but honestly, this is a card well worth being happy about. And we got 8 more packs left too, so we could... Oh my Jesus! Okay, this is a hell of a pack now. Okay, first off, our first Night Assailant. We really needed at least one of these. King of the Swamp is really good for us, and a Sanctuary in the Sky. I mean, granted, the Sanctuary in the Sky itself is not as useful to us, but still. Another holo, so that's really good. Ooh, we're starting to see some really good stuff coming out of here, finally. Second King of the Swamp, nice to see that. Another Go Giga Gaga Gigo as well. Will we actually use that? I don't know, but hey, having the power is always a good option. Okay, so only a few packs left to go, and we're hoping to see something here. This pack's not very good. We've got a third triangle power, so I guess that's something at least. Alright. Second to last pack. Let's see what it comes up with. A whole lot of nothing. Great. Alright, so last pack. Can we hit something good? Zaborg, please. Flipping up, and no Zaborg. Ooh, second Night Assailant, though, which is pretty nice. And a Spell Economics. Okay, this is actually an interesting card I didn't talk about before. So, while it's face up on the field, you do not pay life points to activate spell cards. Now, admittedly, right now, this isn't as big a deal. However, there is a card that was in the previous set called Dimension Fusion, where you pay 2,000 life points and both players special summon as many banished monsters they have as they can. So if you build a deck revolving heavily around banishing cards and have this, you can bring back all of your banished monsters for free. So that's actually kind of interesting. Unfortunately, we only got one Mystical Shine Ball, which is really disappointing, and I really hate the idea of having to spend a couple wild cards for commons on this later, but oh well. So we're going to go into the deck builder and see what we could come. Okay, so here's the deck list for tonight's match, and yeah, I'm just going to put it this way. Sorry, not sorry. We are playing Pac-Man. And we are not only playing Pac-Man, but we're actually going to be playing Pac-Man Burn at that. Basically, it's a matter of I need to find something to work with for right now, and I don't have enough cohesive pieces for any of the main contenders here at the moment. So, right now we're going to see what we can work with here. So let's go by card here. We have one Cyber Jar. Basically, this is to help facilitate getting literally every other monster in this deck to the field, and potentially drawing more cards, as well as dealing with any potential threats on Rai's side. Then we have 3 Deslakuta. If we flip this face down and then flip summon it, we draw a card. 2 Magician of Faith to get back some of our important spell cards. 2 Night Assailant, thank goodness we pulled these. These will be useful not only for the sake of acting as Maneater Bug, but also if we have to discard it through Graceful Charity or through hand size, then we can, well, I say hand size, but we'd still have to discard a card afterwards. But either way, if we have this and we discard it, we could pull back Magician of Faith, we could pull back the other Night Assailant, we could pull back Cyber Jar if we want to. So, good card to have overall. Here's an interesting one though, and I'm sure some old school players are like, what the hell is wrong with you? 1 Nightmare Horse. This card can attack your opponent directly, even if there is a monster on the opponent's side of the field. How's that for some old school text? Basically, the idea for this is going to be, we're going to stun lock Rai, we're going to burn using the 3 Stealth Bird, and the 3-Wave Motion Cannon, and the Nightmare Horse is going to let us facilitate that and get it a little faster. 1 copy of Sangan to basically search up anything else in our deck. 1 Sinister Serpent because if we're going to discard for any reason, this is a good card to use. 3 Stealth Bird, we can flip this face down, and if it's flip summoned, we deal 1,000 damage to the opponent. 2 Swarm of Locusts and 1 Swarm of Scarabs. This will be good to destroy spell and traps and monsters, respectively. And 1 copy of Witch of the Black Forest to once again search literally anything here. Well, except for the Stealth Bird, I guess. For the spells, 3 Book of Moon to help flip our monsters. 3 Chorus of Sanctuary. This is actually here for 2 reasons. 1 is to give Stealth Bird a little more defense power, and 2, this is to help counteract a Legendary Ocean. 1 Graceful Charity, 1 Heavy Storm, 2 Level Limit Area B. Everything in our deck is currently level 3 or lower, except for the Witch, and we kind of want the Witch destroyed anyway. So that's no big deal for us. 2 Magic Reflector. This is actually going to be here primarily to deal with the Wave Motion Cannons, and possibly Chorus of Sanctuary. When it's activated, we target a face-up spell that we control, we place a counter on it, and if that spell would be destroyed, then we destroy this counter instead. So, it's a good way to help protect our cards from Rai's back row removal, of which he primarily has 1. Harpy's Feather Duster. So, this will help counteract that a little bit. 1 Pot of Greed, 1 Raigeki, 1 Swords of Revealing Light, 1 Terraforming to help search out the Chorus of Sanctuary, 3 Wave Motion Cannons to help get the burn going, and then for our traps we have 2 Gravity Bind and 1 Waboku. The reason for the Gravity Bind is that if he's not running the ALO deck, then this will help stop it. If he is running it, then we can actually work with other options to help deal with that. Like I said, Chorus of Sanctuary is there to kind of help shut that level thing down and make it harder for him to work with. Waboku is there just for general defense. Our deck master for this match is going to be Tsukiyomi. Rai used it pretty well last time around, and for us it's kind of nice too because we could just get a monster flipped, summon Tsukiyomi right away, bounce the monster face down, and then bounce Tsukiyomi back to our hand. Once again, the extra deck is full of stuff we're not going to use right now. Side deck, 2 copies of 8 Claw Scorpion in case Rai is back on defensive. And then we have our Chaos Emperor Dragon and our Chaos Sorcerer, because we can board into a bit of a Chaos strategy if we want to. 1 Exile Force for targeted removal, 2 Magical Merchant to help search out specific spells or traps that we need, 1 Mask of Darkness on the off chance we actually need to bounce back another trap card, and we board in other trap cards. 1 Dark Hole, 1 Enemy Controller. This is going to be good to help either switch a monster Rai controls to defense, or even take control of it if we need to. This is only going to matter if he's playing the Legendary Ocean deck. 1 Smash and Ground, 1 Negate Attack, 1 Ring of Destruction, and 2 Sakuretsu Armor. So, this is probably one of the dumbest things I've done yet. Trust me, in a few episodes we're probably going to cross that barrier, but for right now, this is what we're going to have, and we're going to see what we can do. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to duel.
Not gonna lie, Demon, I'm not super impressed with this set.
Yeah, there's honestly a lot to be desired here. There's some neat cards for like future purposes, but for right now, it's not really a whole lot different.
Well, definitely be cards that'll come up in the future. But I would really like to use this opportunity to snap this losing streak, and of course.
All right. Well, let's see how that goes. I'm gonna
All
take
right,
the
good luck,
first play.
duelist. And I'll get to show you my deck master. You're probably not going to be too happy to see it.
Oh, yeah. Let me go ahead and set mine out. Where are you?
Well, it's another spirit monster. Ah, so it's your turn. Oh boy, this should be
Oh
entertaining.
shit. Okay, that's not a good start then.
Lovely.
Standby
well,
main.
well,
Um,
well, who's ready for control mirror?
I think I'm going to just set a card. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna do a T set and pass.
Draw for turn, stand by main. I'd like to see what you're up to, please.
Um,
If you're playing Tsukiyomi as your deck master, that probably means we're playing a control mirror of some kind. The Raigeki, obviously.
okay.
So then I will proceed to set a monster, set a pair of back row, and ship it over.
Alright, I'll draw. Standby main. Good grief. Okay, I guess I'm going to just flip summon my Stealth Bird.
Yup.
And then I'm going to use his effect to set himself. And
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I guess since you know about it, I'll activate Chorus of Sanctuary.
Yeah, that's a 2200 butt. Draw for turn, stand by main. I am gonna flip up my koala, take 12.
Alright.
Set one. Go.
Alright. Standby main. Once again, I'm gonna go ahead and flip my Stealth Bird.
Yeah. I know how this song and dance works.
Set that down. I will set a monster. And I will pass.
Draw for turn, stand by main. I am going to go ahead and flip up this old Vindictive Magician and shoot your bird.
Okay, fine. At least I got 2k off of you, so... Well, 3k, actually.
Then I'm going to set a back row and ship it over.
Alright. Draw. Standby main. Alright. Munch all noobs. Any response?
I'm going to chain Ring of Destruction.
Targeting... Okay.
The camel. Get that off the table.
Alright. Alright. Let's see.
Gee, what an exciting game this is going to be.
I'm going to set a card. And I will set a card.
Alright, I will draw for my turn, stand by main. I'm going to put both my monsters in defense positions, set a back row, and pass.
Alright, I draw. Standby, main. Well. Caw-caw.
Another bird. Another bird, huh?
Yep.
Good thing I didn't attack that.
I will set him, and I'm going to set a card and pass.
Alright, draw for turn, standby, main. I'm at 3,500? Okay. I'm gonna just set a back row, and I will pass.
Alright, I'll draw. Standby main. Flip
Well,
again.
there's the bird, sure. Sure. Not like I can do anything about that bird, it's got a 2,200 ass.
Yeah. Alright, I will set another monster, and I will pass.
Right. Draw for turn, standby, main. I'm gonna run out of solar.
Ooh, okay.
Then I am going to proceed to my end phase, and you will take 500 points damage.
Alright.
Go.
Alright, I draw. Standby main. Alright, first I'm gonna
I know
flip.
the bird is there. Sure. 1,000 in.
Alright, I will reset. I will flip my Swarm of Scarabs, targeting your Solar Flare.
You got it.
Alright, I will set. I will set a monster, and I will activate a new card, Level Limit Area B.
Not surprising. At your end phase, I'm going to secret barrel you for 1,800.
Okay.
Draw for turn. Standby, main. I am going to activate Just Desserts. That's not Just Desserts.
Alright.
I'm going to activate my other Just Desserts.
Oh. Okay, yeah.
Just Desserts pretty good against Pac-Man.
Yep.
I was wondering.
Okay. Okay, so draw for turn. Well, once Dueling Book actually cooperates. There we go. Standby main. Well, let's keep on drawing.
Yep.
Don't have to worry about Droll and Lockbird for a little while as it is, so.
Well, Droll wouldn't stop Pot of Greed anyway.
True. Oh, true. That's searching. Never mind. There we go.
The card you're thinking of is Ash Blossom.
Ah. Alright.
But no, Droll does stop. Droll does stop Pot of Greed. But they have the thing with Droll is they have to use you have to activate Droll on resolution of an effect that moves cards from deck to hand.
Mm. Alright, let's start things off with a simple wave motion cannon.
You got it.
Come on. Dueling book, please.
Dueling Book is misbehaving tonight.
There we go.
That is a cannon.
Alright, and then I'm going to set a monster, set a back row, and pass.
Draw for turn, stand by, main. I'm gonna run out of Berserk Gorilla.
Ooh, okay.
Proceed to the battle phase. I will attack into your set, because I have to.
Alright. You will take out my Sangin.
Oh, you have a Sangin.
So let's see what I can get out of that. I think I'm going to go ahead and pick up a Stealth Bird.
Yep, you got it. Cool. After combat, I'm going to set 1, 2, 3 back row.
Alright. I draw. Any responses?
Nothing in draw.
Alright, stand by. Get a counter. Or get a
Nothing
turn.
in standby. Go ahead.
Alright. Main 1. There we go. I'm going to put a little bit of insurance. I'm going to activate Magic Reflector and target my Wave Motion Cannon.
That's pretty good.
So, because of that, I'm going to just put turn 1 in the chat. Keep track right now.
Well, I know that it can't be destroyed.
And I'm going to set a monster, and I will pass.
Alright, draw for turn, stand by, main. I am going to... You're not going to like this too much either. I'm going to activate Final Attack Orders.
Oh. Interesting. Okay.
I'm going to normal summon Solar Flare Dragon.
Okay.
I'm going to proceed to the battle phase. I will attack with Berserk Gorilla into your set.
I am going to book your gorilla.
Yup. I'll attack with Solar.
Alright, well, that's going to put my Magician of Faith into attack mode. So, unfortunately...
Yes, it will. You will take 1,200.
But I will also get my Pot of Greed back.
Pot of Greed, yup. Yes, that will.
Honestly, if there was...
I will proceed to the end step, and you will... Oh, I'm sorry. You have an
say,
effect on res?
Well, no, I was gonna say, if there was a way to stop, to keep your attack from happening at all, I would have flipped Magician and then instantly booked it back down. Unfortunately,
that would have been sweet.
Unfortunately, there's no time between the attack, flipping the monster, and getting the, there's no in between from flipping it to damage steps, so...
That's correct, because flipping the monster occurs at the start of the damage step, I believe. But in any case, speaking of damage, you will take 500 points of damage from Solar Flare Dragon.
Alright.
I will pass the turn.
Alright. Draw. Stand by. Turn 2. And let's fire it off again. Any response?
No. No, you're fine. Draw your 2.
Alright. Okay. I'm going to... I'm going to set a card, set a couple.
Draw for turn. Stand by. Main. I'll go ahead and flip up the Berserk Gorilla.
Okay.
Then I'm going to run out another Berserk Gorilla.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
I will proceed to the battle phase. I will attack into your set.
Alright. You will hit my Stealth Bird.
And you'll take 13.
Oh, right.
Final attack orders puts it in attack position when it gets flipped up. And then 2k.
Well, I will take 2k, but I'm also booking your gorilla. So I'll take 15 from the solar flare.
Booking this. Okay. This will be set.
So I'll take the 15 from that, and then the 500 at the end. But so I'll take 2k, but
correct.
That gorilla's not getting me.
All right. So you'll take the 5 from Solar Flare Dragon, and then I will ship the turn.
Stand by main. Let's see. You know, as crazy as it is, I think you've got it. Yeah, you got it.
Good, I am finally back in the winner's circle. Oh my god, that took way too long.
Because my other card was my third Book of Moon, and basically...
But that isn't going to save you.
Here, I'll show my hand to make it easier. All of my monsters have good effects. The problem is, final attack orders just means that I get hit. Like, even if I set Night Assailant's effect would proc after getting attacked, like after the damage step anyway, because of the fact that it's the start of damage step. So, unfortunately, I would be taking lethal regardless of what happens here, especially if you summoned another monster.
Yeah, I had the perfect sideboard plan for you.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's, well, I'll say this much. I sure as hell wasn't
terribly impressed.
Yeah, this set honestly was kind of meh. Like, there's a couple cards that
I got most of the commons I wanted.
Yeah, same here. There's a couple of cards that I have a couple fun ideas for later, but nothing too spectacular at the moment.
So here's the really cool synergy that you didn't get to see in either game.
Oh goodness, yeah, that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, the synergy between Ojama Trio and Final Attack Orders is just nuts.
Oh yeah,
because you can't tribute over them. Okay, so did you figure out what happened between Game 1 and Game 2?
I see you went a little more aggro as opposed to fully defensive. Unfortunately, I didn't really have a whole to do for that change.
Game 1, I actually had all of the like the stealth birds and the Cyberjar and whatnot. And then after game 1, if the matchup was right, like say if you were playing control, because as a control deck, after seeing this, you would take out your gravity binds and your level limits and your sacks, and I would just bring in all of these monsters.
Right.
My side deck for this match was Final Attack Orders and 13 monsters.
Well, the funny thing is, I had a feeling that you would change into a little more offensive anyway. Like, I didn't know to what extent, but I didn't actually take out my gravity binds or my L labs. Because I figured if it came to it and it was like,
Oh,
oh
geez,
yeah,
you just didn't see them.
yeah, I just didn't see him. And honestly, I figured if it turned out, yeah, you kept it fully defensive, okay, then fine. Game 3, I could turn around and do that, because, like, I had no need. Like, I had no reason to be like, oh yeah, he's going to play fully defensive. There's no point. Because let's be honest, if it's control versus control, someone is going to have to try to play the aggressor. And honestly, my deck doesn't really play the aggressor that well, even inside. Like, of course, I'm sure you expect I
Oh, no,
had this
no, it
here.
doesn't.
I'm sure you knew I had that
Yeah,
in the wings. I actually had this in my main too,
yeah,
which was kind of fun.
yeah.
That was
Oh,
actually
yeah,
that's actually in there specifically to
that card is
go
actually
under.
really good. That
That's
card is really good, and one. Good.
Sorry, it's it's there specifically to A, get under level limit and gravity bind, and B, help facilitate getting you out a little faster. Because if I have, say, a stealth bird and this out, and I can control the field, then that's 1,500 per turn as opposed to 1,000. And if I have waste motion cannon on the field, then that turns it from a 4-turn clock down into a 3-turn clock pretty much right away, just because Nightmare Horse can get that extra 1,000 in over the course of those 2 turns.
So for the exact same reason as your logic playing Nightmare Horse, I was debating making Inaba White Rabbit my deck master.
See, that I thought about Inaba White Rabbit, but I had figured that honestly, as much as it was a good idea, I needed to have some way to control the field better, and that's where Tsukiyomi came in. I figured with Suk, if worst came to worst, I could do like if I had better control over the field, I could have something like, say, Night Assailant on the field, and then just keep using Suk to bounce it back. Because like I only have 1 Swarm of Scarabs, so if I had this for monster control, then I'm good to go. And then I also had I actually had a second Night Assailant in here as well. So if I needed to do the hand loop in some way, like whether by hand size or like through Graceful Charity, I could at least do that.
Yeah, that's disgusting. So my whole side deck was Final Attack Orders, 3 Pandas, and all monsters with at least 1900 attack.
Mm. See, now
it's so gimmicky, but when it works, it's
okay. Well, that's a loss in our book, but not too bad. At least now I don't have to worry about Rai banning another card just yet, and I get a guaranteed ban at the end of the season. So that Herpes Feather Duster of his is definitely getting a sight set on it. But we'll spin the wild card. We'll see what we hit. Kind of looking forward to anything at this point, because I have an option for each one. So let's see what we land on. Yes. Yes, that is exactly what I was hoping to see. Oh yeah, okay, so I know exactly what I'm getting here. Okay, so as crazy as it may seem, my choice is actually going to be to pick up a second copy of the Sanctuary in the Sky. The reason for this is because there is a deck I want to try out later, and if this actually works out to my favor, this card will play a huge part in it. We already had one, this is our second, so this will be fun to see. But we also have one more thing we need to discuss.
So in addition to turning things around for this duel, it was also important because the 2004 collector's tins came out during this time as well, and there are some pretty playable cards in this set of 6, and because of that, I get the first pick.
Yep, and honestly, all 6 of these are actually pretty good too.
I wouldn't say Insect Queen is, but the rest of them are at least playable. I am going to, with my pick 1, take a copy of Blade Knight.
Yeah, I am not surprised in the least. Blade Knight is probably the best of the set, so yeah, that's going to be a bit of a bummer. But that's fine.
Okay, what do you want?
I think I'm gonna go ahead and pick the Command Knight for my first pick.
Yes, that's the next obvious pick. My next one is going to be Obnoxious Celtic Guard.
Okay. Let's see. So that leaves me with Total Defense Shogun, Swift Guy of the Fierce Knight, and Insect Queen. I think I'm gonna go ahead and pick up the Total Defense Shogun as my second pick.
I'm going to take Swift Guy of the Fierce Knight because it's part of my spirit monster in this game.
Fair enough. And that leaves with the Insect Queen for me for the final one, which I'll probably never touch, but hey, at least it's a card.
It is.
Alright.
That's about how I expected that to go.
Just about. Alright, so gonna go ahead and hop out for... sorry.
Yep. You're gonna hop out for what?
I'm gonna hop out to finish it up.
Okay. And then if you want to do your Soul Duelist draft as well, I actually have that ready. I just need the deck build.
Okay. Alright, well, that's the end of that. We can probably make use of the Command Knight and Total Defense Shogun later, so we'll see what we can make do with that later on. But for now, that's a good one. That's it for tonight. Have a good time. See you next week.